And I always keep a mentor, always stay teachable, always.
I got shot in the stomach trying to fight. I could have easily stopped the fight, but I jumped.
I just have to turn that negative voice off and.
Hey, it's Aaliyah Lychail coming to you live from the TLC show. And today we have a very special guest. She is an author, a speaker, a criminal psychologist whose work has inspired people of all ages through faith, through healing, and personal growth. Today we will be discussing her powerful book, Surrender or Explode, which speaks directly to youth and young adults about navigating life challenges, making difficult decisions, and finding purpose. And trust me, this is a conversation you do not want to miss. So tune in, sit back, and get ready for an impactful conversation. So let's go ahead and make some noise for Dr. V.
Thank you. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I'm ready to get into this book.
Let's do it.
Okay. So tell us about where you grew up and what your childhood was like.
Okay. I am a child of a small town in Jonesville, Louisiana. It's about as big as this room. However, my dad was in the military and we traveled a lot as Army dependents. And I was exposed to a lot of diversity very early in my life, and it has followed me everywhere I've gone since then.
Okay. I know that's right. Shout out to the boot. Who were some of the people who influenced you the most as a young person?
I'll start with my father and my grandmother, because my father and my grandmother spoke to me. They saw me, and they would not allow me to compromise who they knew me to be. And that was powerful. I didn't understand it as a young child, how much we need to be seen and how much we need to have people speak into our lives. But my father and my grandmother did an exceptional job of not letting me forget who I am and who I was.
I know that's right.
Yes,
Just
ma'am.
allowing you to be you, fully you, without even trying to change you. I know that's right.
Absolutely. Guiding me, but not changing me.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Yes.
That is the difference. Okay, so what challenges did you face growing up that helped shape the person that you are today?
Well, one of the challenges was that we moved a lot, and therefore I made friends over and over in a new location, new rules, new cultures, over and over again. And so I was tough early because of those changes.
Mm-hmm.
And as a minority in the military when I was young, I never saw as many people who looked like me
Mm-hmm.
that I could comfortably relate to, and that made it hard as well. And as time went by, I went to an HBCU college, found my peeps, found my identity, and then I started to develop more and more, not only as a woman who had been exposed to a lot of diversity, but I learned my history and I began to walk in the pride of my history.
Shout out to that.
Yes,
Shout out
ma'am.
to that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what moment in your youth did you realize your life was headed in a different direction?
Ooh. Not a different direction. I think I knew very early that I was a talker. My parents love to tell the story about me saying, can I hold a conversation with you?
Yeah.
And I'm just a little girl, but I like to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I was going to be a talker. I thought I was going to be a lawyer talker, but as it turned out in college, I realized I really wanted to be a psychologist, healer, help people grow talker. So I shifted directions in college, but I've always been a talker and I've always been a helper.
Okay, and I get, just for the ones who don't know, can you give us like a little information on like the psychologist talker? The psychologist
Yes,
talker?
absolutely. I have a clinical practice,
Mm-hmm.
and I work with, like you said earlier, all ages. I work with couples, I work with families, I work with people going into law enforcement. I work with people depressed, anxious. My practice is very general. And if you knock on my door and I'm qualified to work with you, my answer is yes, come on in.
Okay. I know that's right. Okay, so what inspired you to write Surrender or Explode, learning to play the game of life God's way?
That's a funny and a funny and a challenging story. Initially, I wrote 2 other books about relationships with God.
Okay, I seen that.
Yes, I wrote a book for children and I wrote a book for adults, and that the youth and the young adults were in the middle. And my baby child, whose name I will keep anonymous, was our challenge in our family. And he was the one who marched to his own beat, and he was the one who picked and chose what rules he would play by.
Okay.
And at one point, I was frustrated with just raising him, and I prayed to God, God, why Walter and I going through this? Why are we challenged by this? And he said to me in that little small voice, these are the chapters of your next book. And I stopped because I realized that was a book, because we had gone through challenges raising all of our kids. And now I had an opportunity to use what I had been through to turn it into instruction for others. And so that's where the book came from. And I wanted young people to know, if you play games, video games, and you follow the rules, don't think you can live life and not follow the rules so you can level up to the leaderboard.
Yeah.
No different.
No different at all.
No different at all.
Not at all. Okay, so what does the phrase surrender or explode mean to you?
Surrender, explode, and that's an excellent question, because we all have to surrender or explode. It's not just teenagers. It's not just young adults. We all have to figure out, where do we need to surrender and stop trying to be our own boss and make up our own rules. And when we understand that, then we can stop hitting our head on the wall so much. Or as I used to tell my baby boy, stop shooting ourselves in the foot, because we don't have all the answers. And we need to know who we can go to, who we can trust to give us the answers that we need to level up and play the game. And the book compares life to video games. That's the premise of the book.
Yeah.
Life is a video game, and either you're going to explode and get taken captive and crash, or you're going to level up to the leaderboard with a lot of points.
Okay, I like that. I like that. I
Yes,
started
ma'am.
reading a few pages, so I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I need this
Good.
book.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, so why do you describe life as a game?
Because just like a video game, there are challenges. Well, first of all, let's start with the character. You have a character. We are the characters, and in life. And in the video game, we are the players who create the characters. So that's the first part. What are our strengths? What are our skills? What are our weaknesses? What kind of personality do we have?
Yeah.
So first of all, we've got to define who we are. And we didn't make ourselves. God made us.
Yeah.
And we have to understand that he didn't go, oh, shoot, I messed up. I didn't mean to make her like that. That's not who God is, and that's not how he does what he does.
Yeah.
And then secondly, we've got to figure out, what's our journey? What path are we on? Because we all have a path, and our paths are not the same. And then we have to figure out, how do we navigate the journey, the path that we're on? And with the video games, the player is the one that dictates to us what we can and can't do, our strengths, where we're going to go, where we're not going to go. But in life, we got to know who our boss is. And we have to determine that for ourselves, or we will have 12 different bosses telling us 12 different things and taking us on 12 different paths. And until we know who we are as the one that was made, and who our boss is, the one who made us, we're just stumbling around, bumping into the roadblocks and the traps and the attacks of the enemy.
Okay, so you gotta know who you is to even be able to begin your journey.
Absolutely.
To understand it, really.
And we have to value that. So many times we don't value who we are. And if we don't value ourselves, then we will let other people devalue us.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed. People only do what you allow.
Bam. Thank you.
Agreed. Okay, so what are some of the rules young people should understand?
Some of the rules that, okay, number one, don't compromise who you are. That's the rule number one. I don't care where you come from. I don't care who your mama was, who your daddy was, because all of that was not an accident. But young people have to first and foremost know who they are, and then give themselves credit for being created in the image of God. That's the first rule. And then the second rule, you've got to figure out who do you follow? Who's your boss? You know, if you go to a company and you have a boss, you don't like the boss, either you rebel or you walk away and find another boss. It's the same in life. God may not be your boss, but you want to know who your boss is, and you want to follow the rules of that boss. But then in life, we get tripped up. Things happen. And we have to recognize and be prepared to bounce back, because there are lots of rules about how do I successfully navigate life when I get tripped up, and how do I bounce back. And finally, we got to know what our questions are, because nobody has all the answers. And we have to know who can we go to get answers to our questions. And there are a lot of questions that are very difficult and large, and we shouldn't let everybody answer those questions for us. And we have to know who will our source be to get the answers to the questions we have. And that's one of my favorite parts of the book, is our questions that people have received from God about some of those big questions in life.
Okay, I can see that. I mean, the answers that somebody else get might not be the answers that you need for you, even if y'all do have the same questions.
Well,
if y'all got different journeys, walking on different paths, then what she might need to do will be different from what you need to do.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, we've got to be willing to ask and not just think we have to figure it all out on our own, but then we have to obey. If we get the answer and then we don't obey, we haven't accomplished anything.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so what is the biggest lesson readers take away from the book?
Okay. The biggest lesson is what we see may not be what God sees. Because a lot of times we think we're going through something for a particular reason, and we may get frustrated or angry or depressed or hopeless. But if we can shift our focus to understand what God is up to by having us go through that, then we can embrace it. Because none of us like to be uncomfortable. None of us like pain. None of us like to be hurt. But depending on how we look at it, we can see how God may be toughening us up. We can see how God may be stretching us out of a comfort zone. We can see how God may be just checking us, because we're hard-headed and we're rebellious and we're defiant and we're going to do it our way. And he said, okay, let me just check you on that attitude. So if I had to say my favorite, it's that we can't look at life, no matter what happens, only from our perspective, because it may be very different than God's perspective. And God is sovereign in my life. God is the absolute authority, and God is the one who has all the answers and all the knowledge, and not Verdi.
Amen to that. Okay, so what advice do you have for youth who feel overwhelmed?
Ooh, that's one of my second favorite parts.
All right.
It takes a village. You can't do it on your own. And we have to know who we can lean on, who our resources are, and be open and seek people to be in what I call my village. That's an old saying. It takes a village to raise a child. And it takes a village to raise an adult. And it takes a village to raise a grandmother. We all need other people. And circumstances that we're born into are different. Some people are born and their mother or their father is absent, or their mother and their father leave prematurely, or whatever the family dynamics are. We may not get as much support from our immediate family as we would want, but that doesn't mean there are not people that we can get support from. And we have to know who can become a part of our village, but then we have to raise our hand and say, help, and not think that we're supposed to do it on our own.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so how did you discover your purpose?
Ooh, this is one of my funny favorite stories. I remember when I decided that law was not for me and that I was going to be a talking psychologist and go that route. I was a psychologist for many, many, many years, and I didn't incorporate the faith, the spiritual aspect. And I'll never forget the day that I got an invitation to speak at a women's retreat sponsored by a church. It's like, whoa, hold up, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to God so clearly, I'm not proud of this, but I remember saying to God, you got the wrong girl. And I meant it.
You got the wrong girl.
You got the wrong. Yeah, exactly. Now I'm talking to God, but that's how God and I, how we roll.
Yeah.
I just talked straight to him and I said, you got the wrong girl. But I was willing to be obedient and surrender. And that was the turning point for me, taking psychology and spirituality and combining them. The retreat was powerful. I didn't do it by myself. I knew God was standing right there, moving my lips literally, because I didn't believe I could do that. But that was the beginning of my opportunities to work with my psychology and my spirituality. I call it my intimacy with God together. And it just has been an amazing roller coaster journey, but amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like how you was just saying, you gotta know your journey.
Yes.
And you found yours.
Yes.
And you took off.
Yes,
I know that's
ma'am.
right.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that's right.
Yes, ma'am.
So what skills do young people need today that schools may not always teach?
Mm-hmm. So if you Google that, you could find from 2 to 29 characteristics that people need to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to talk about all of them. I'm going to give you the 2 that I think are very important. The first one is resilience. You got to be able to bounce back. We're all going to fall. We're all going to get tripped up. Life's all the time. But if we're not resilient enough to bounce back when we trip and fall, my journey in graduate school was no smooth sailing. Mm-hmm. I had one wall, one obstacle after another that could have stopped me from getting this PhD and being able to sit with you today and have this conversation.
Yeah.
So we've got to teach our children, bounce back, get up. It's like when your child falls, they're learning to walk and they fall. Okay, big boy, get up. Good job. Mm-hmm. And we have to instill resilience in our children so they don't think just because I fell, I can't get up again. And I don't care what caused them to fall. They ended up in prison. They had a car accident. Their father, their mother died, left. They flunked out of school. They went to alternative school. Yeah. I don't care how they trip and fall, but that's not the end of the story unless they say it's the end of the story and they don't get up again. So resilience is critical. But hand in hand with resilience is self-discipline. I've got to hold myself accountable before I hold anybody else accountable. Me, myself, and I. What did I do? What didn't I do? What do I need to do? What shouldn't I do? Self-discipline. I need to know when to say no. I need to know when to say yes. I need to know when to push through. And I need to know when to sit down on my butt and catch my breath. But self-discipline and resilience go hand in hand. And I think those are so lacking for so many people, not just young people, for so many people. When the going gets tough, we say, I give up. No, we don't give up. Surrender Explode hasn't just hit the #1 best-selling list in 10 minutes. But I'm not quitting. I'm going to make sure I get the word out as much as I can. And I'm grateful for this opportunity to share today, but I've got to keep pushing because it's not going to happen by itself. And if I give up, it won't happen at all.
I agree. I agree.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
deep.
Yes,
I know
ma'am.
that's right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
But you
so
asked the question.
hey, and you gave me the answer. I know that's right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so have you ever experienced failure that later became a blessing?
Absolutely, of course. And I can think of two immediately. My mom and dad had the craziest, destructive, dysfunctional marriage anybody could have ever had. They're both in heaven. I can't wait to get there and see them. But when I was growing up, our household was cray cray. And the bottom line is, as a little girl, I thought, why don't y'all just get a divorce and let us all, move on with life? It was just cray cray. But I'm one of the best marriage counselors that you could ever meet. And God has given me an opportunity. I'm divorced, so I can't say that I got it right. I didn't make any mistakes. But God has given me an opportunity to work with couples, and they're my favorites because how strong the marriage is directly impacts the kids, which impacts the schools and the communities. And so I am just, I'm real clear that God knew that eventually that's what He would use me for with couples and how they impact the children and how the children then show up in the community. So that was definitely a hard, painful lesson. But as the Bible says, as God says, He worked that thing for good.
Yeah,
Yes.
most definitely. Because
Yes.
you be saying a whole lot when you be young. So
Yes.
you took all that in. Like,
Yes.
hold on, I remember this. I
Thank you.
remember that. Okay, let me understand this.
Exactly. And so, and especially from the kids' perspective, because I was helpless as a kid. My brother and I were helpless. We could make our mom and dad do nothing.
Yeah.
But as a counselor, as a therapist, I can help the parents learn. Don't shoot at each other and hit the kids in the crossfire. And that's what it is sometimes. The kids are caught in the middle. The parents are shooting at each other, not literally, but the kids get caught in all of that.
And they don't even really realize it.
Bam. And they can't close their eyes and not see it. It's happening.
Right there all in their face.
Yes, ma'am.
And they cannot hide from it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what roles does faith, spirituality, however you say that, or personal belief play in overcoming challenges?
That's the foundation. You've got to have something that you can sink your feet in, you can anchor in, because the culture changes. Today it's this, tomorrow it's that, next weekend it'll be something altogether different. So we've got to have, a solid foundation of what we put our anchor in that keeps us from just blowing in the wind. And for me, that's my relationship with God. And I go to Him first. I go to His word first. I follow His image, His character first, so that when I could be tossed and torn by the culture, I am anchored. I am grounded. And again, my beliefs and my relationship with God is not what everyone ought to have. I believe what is good for me, best for me, is our Father, God, and His Word. And other people have to find their solid rock foundation for themselves. That's just my personal belief and my personal expectations.
Okay, so would you feel like, so what you say is, I guess, basically like therapy, like a therapist, finding like your own person or your spirituality for your personal belief to overcome the challenges? Is like going to that?
I think they go hand in hand.
Okay.
But what I recognize is that we're all individuals, and I am not going to try to impose, even as a woman who believes in God and follows Him. When you come to my office, I'm not going to push that down your throat.
Okay.
I live what I live. I respect what you live, but you've got to know what that anchor is for you. And therapy is a good place to kind of evaluate some of those things, but you got to find a therapist that fits with you, because all therapists are not created the same. But for me, God is my main therapist.
Okay.
He gets in my face. He calls me out. He encourages me. He counsels me. And that's my relationship with God.
Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Okay, so how can someone turn pain into purpose?
Ooh, perspective. You remember you asked me earlier about what is one of the main points or my favorite points of the book, perspective. What is God doing? What is he up to? And here's just a simple example. There are times when people are not in our lives. They're taken prematurely or they never, especially parents. Just because someone gave you an egg and a sperm doesn't mean they became a parent. And we have to know the difference. But when someone is taken out of our lives prematurely or they never show up, it may not be to punish us. It may not be to cause us pain. It may be to protect us from a lifestyle that we would have been a part of had they stayed. And one of the stories that I hear often is about parents who were drug users, parents who were drug dealers.
Yeah.
And when that parent is out of the picture for whatever reason, that's actually a gift. That's actually a protection. And a lot of the things that come from God are not to hurt us, but to protect us. But we've got to be able to look at it that way.
So you just got to have that optimistic mindset.
Yeah. Well, optimistic, but you've got to have more than one thought about why did this happen. We get stuck on it was punishment, or we get stuck on it was to confuse us or scare us. Maybe it was to stretch you. Maybe it was to protect you from a lifestyle that was coming. And if you don't open yourself up to look beyond the obvious pain, you miss. It's like one of my favorite stories was when Harvey came. Not when Harvey came, before Harvey came. A storm came up the Gulf, and my kids were in Beaumont visiting. My two boys were visiting their sister in college, and a storm came up. And the storm made Beaumont, Port Arthur evacuate. So everybody headed either east or west. I got 3 kids in a car heading home. Their father and I were here. They were there. I'm freaking out. God, what you up to? Come on, God. You could have turned it another way. You could have protected them. You could have told us not to let the boy. You could have. And then when I calmed down, well, actually, when God said, calm down, listen. He said to me, I sent the boys not so they would all die together, but I sent the boys so they could escort your daughter back home safely. And I hung my head. Forgive me, Father. I didn't look at it that way. So she didn't have to drive through the back roads by herself in the middle of the night. But she had her mechanic brother and I'll kick your butt brother with her. And they all got home safely. And that was one of those moments where I realized my perspective wasn't God's perspective. And then I asked him to please forgive me. And I thanked him and I thanked him and I thanked him for his love and his wisdom.
Okay. So I could see, perspective do take a big role in it.
It's the whole role, actually. Because what I perceive is my reality.
Okay. So what is the difference between giving up and surrendering?
That's a very good question. When I give up, I lose hope. When I surrender, I shift the focus of my hope. Giving up is I lose hope. It's over. That's why when some people commit suicide, when I give up. But surrendering is shifting my hope from self or culture to something bigger that I trust, that I have confidence in. And that's why the title is so important, because you can explode when you give up. But when you surrender, that may be the beginning of the next chapter of your journey.
It's like basically you saying like, okay, I need help. Like I'm accepting the help now, basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So how could you start playing the game of life more effectively right now?
That's a good question. Let's see if I can give you a simple answer. Accept where you are lacking in achieving the life you want. See, because we all want a life. We all have a vision. If we had a magic wand, poof.
Yeah.
We all know what we might want to be and do. But we don't always hold ourselves accountable for what we're not doing now to have that later. So we've got to
Okay.
self-reflect.
Yeah.
Where am I? What's going on with me? How am I doing in school? How am I doing in my relationships? How am I doing in my health? How am I doing in the decisions and choices I'm making? And are those going to get me where I say I want to go? And if not,
Yeah, okay.
redirect.
Everything take account into it, not just one thing. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so how can young people protect their mental health in today's world?
Not try to figure it out alone. That's the best thing I would say. Don't try to figure it out on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things about the book is that I want adults to work with youth and young adults, because adults were youth once upon a time, and youth want to become adults. So don't try to figure this thing out on your own, and be careful about who you trust to help you figure it out. You can't trust everybody.
You can't.
You can't. And you shouldn't trust everybody. Because on the outside, a lot of people may be looking good. Ooh-wee.
And got a whole different agenda.
Ooh-wee.
I wanna heavy on the ooh-wee.
Thank you.
Okay, so how could people get connected to you?
Okay. The easiest way, my website is www.verdilethmon.com. That's my website. And you can check me out on my website, and then you can contact me, and then I can get back with you. But that's the easiest way. Just go to my website. You'll learn a lot more about who I am and what I've done. And then if you reach out to me, I will absolutely reach back out to you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that's right. Okay. Well, that's all our questions for today. You ready for a game?
Oh, a game? Nobody told me about a game.
It's a quick game. It's a quick game. It's just 8 questions. It's called the Great 8. Okay, so it's fast, it's quick.
Okay.
Okay, so phone call or text?
Text.
Okay. Bookstore or library?
Ooh, bookstore.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Ooh. Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
Okay. Louisiana or Texas?
Ooh, Louisiana. Don't tell anybody I said that.
Okay. Counseling youth or counseling adults?
Ooh, counseling youth these days.
Okay. Beach vacation or mountain getaway?
Beach.
All right. Surrender or explode?
Surrender.
I know that's right.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, that is all for this interview. I did have a good time talking to you, getting a whole lot of insight of who you are and what you do, where you came from. I do appreciate you coming.
Yes,
once again, y'all, this is Dr. V.
Thank you. I had a ball. Thank you.